Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Bloodborne no healing walkthrough. This is the Nightmare of Mensis, and this is the second casualty of this guide. So I lost the footage of my first run through this zone, and you're not going to see that. You're going to see it done on a separate character, which is unfortunate, but it's just the way the game works sometimes. Just the way recording works. The good news is, the only thing that will be different on your playthrough if you're using this is that you will be getting frenzied when you run. And if you're quick enough and your insight is low enough, the frenzy shouldn't be enough to kill you. So you should be okay. And I'm gonna guess that you have more life than I do, and if I was able to do it without being killed by frenzy, then you can do it too. The Nightmare of Mensis, however, is pretty much regarded as one of the final areas of the game, and it has some of the best resources because of that fact.
The nightmare swirls and churns, unending. Cast, or some say cosm. A hunter is a hunter even in a dream.
This is also the place to get chunks and to get a blood rock, which when this game first came out, which is pretty much the area of the footage that you were watching, because this was done before the more recent patches and before the DLC was added. This section actually might not have been, but the beginning of this no healing walkthrough up to probably around the Yaha Ghul area was all done just a couple months into the game before they'd really tweaked too many things. But the run back here, this is the character that's a different character. You'll notice he has 89 insight, he also has a little bit more life, and he's wielding a binocular, or a monocle, or a monocular as it's called. Be careful of these spiders here, they're the dickheads. They can do jump attacks, they can do swipe attacks, they can do big damage when they need to. And this guy, this is possibly my least favourite NPC in the game. I would gladly fight that dude in the cathedral over this douchebag. He has killed me more than anybody in this game, just because of that rosemariness. He's a massive dickhead is what he is. But run past the blind iron mask dudes, and then this floor coming up has these crazy ladies with whips and a massive slab of iron and people firing crossbows at you. So she has both slow attacks and fast attacks with varying range, so she's incredibly dangerous, and if you don't know her patterns, she'll get you. And then once you're in here, you need to be circling to stop those dudes with the crossbows hitting you. If you circle and you get a little bit fortunate, they'll not be able to tag you, and you've got past a really tricky area very quickly. And all we're doing now is activating an elevator because there is no checkpoint in this early part of the level, and it makes it difficult because of that. But the area I just ran past has some blood gems that are worth picking up, especially the one in the cage that was just in front of me a second ago with those dog creatures. That is one of the better augmented gems you can get this early in the game. But of course this is a walkthrough, so I'm going to be going whole horse to the business, which it just so happens to be Micolash, the douchebag of the nightmare. So here's a funny story. Micolash used to be a boss that was kind of novelty and silly, but I don't think it worked as the developers intended, because he would always go the same way every single time, and you would get to the areas where you fight him in 1 or 2 turns. So there was no hide and seek, there was no procrastination, there was none of what you're about to watch in this video. For some bizarre reason, they patched the AI so that he does what they wanted him to do to begin with, which is essentially run away from you like a massive bitch in a maze of corridors where he can teleport through a mirror, which I'd never even seen him do before until they changed it, and just be a dick to be a dick. So the first area is here. You get him, you kill both the marionettes, and then you just beat him up because he's an idiot. Whenever he stops attacking, he'll try to hit you with the Augur of Ebrietas, and you just sidestep it because it's got no range, it's got no breadth to its attack, and then you do whatever you want to do. Backstab him, stunlock him, he's a massive bitch. And at this point, I didn't know that when you're sneaking around after him, when he runs away from you, if you walk and he can't see you, you can sneak up on him and backstab him. So you can make this fight even quicker and stupider than it is. But I didn't know that at this point, because I came back to this game assuming that Micolash was going to go the path he always goes when I played, you know, constantly back when the game was released. And he doesn't. He does this bullshit. And I'm just like, hang on a second. Because you're going to see me go the old path where... Well, there's a nice chunk. He used to just be able to, you know, drop down, follow him again, and then he were done. But he doesn't do it anymore. So they changed it, and I can't honestly tell you why. This is one of the shittest bosses in the game for me, personally. I just think it's stupid. Really stupid. So, run around this smoky stack, trying to find the dude. Is he down there? Additionally, on the final phase, when he drops into the final room, you can shoot him a bunch. And you can try and plunge attack him, but I always miss. So I'm going to see how much damage I do with my gun. It's not bad, you know? And look at that. You can keep doing this if you want to. But I wanted to plunge him because it's not really my deal. Cheesing people with bullets. So he runs into there, it seals him off, and that's the final zone. So you might be thinking, well, I don't understand why you think this is so crappy, Chris. You know, it's not difficult, it's maybe a bit annoying, but it's kind of subpar and standard. Well, when we drop into the final area, he has the ability to do a call from beyond, which is essentially a massive AoE that has tracking, and it's an instant kill on most builds, and if you dodge it wrong, it's definitely an instant kill because of the counter damage. So he can at any time pull out a spell that is incredibly difficult to dodge and can do massive damage. And if you hit him when he's trying to do it, you can interrupt it. But if you don't, you have to try and dodge it. And there are times when I don't try and dodge it, and I dodge it perfectly, and there are times when I try my hardest to dodge it, and I take it on the chin. So it's a really annoying... Do not give him space. That's how he starts it. And right there was incredibly lucky. If you see him get the orbs, it's too late. If the orbs are already there, you haven't interrupted it quick enough. You have to do it before it populates them. If you do that, he cannot fire it. But if you don't, like you just witnessed, you can be in a real big spot of bother. But I got very lucky. And sometimes you need a bit of luck. But that boss, you know, I would rather fight anything else in this game than that boss. You know, it's Rom, it's him, and then it's probably like the one reborn in my tier of bosses I don't like in this game. And then maybe Ludwig, because I think he's the worst DLC boss. Even though, you know, I've got pretty damn good at him. Everybody online, like, kisses that boss's ass because it wields a Moonlight Greatsword, and I just think it's fucking lazy, dude. It's just a boss designed to kill you for the sake of killing you. I find it really just... I don't find it impressive at all. You know, there's a lot of bosses in the DLC, that, especially the second forms, where they just turn them into shitfests, and to me that's not fun. You know, some of the first forms are legitimately interesting and fun, and then the second forms ruin it. And I don't like the second form of Ludwig, because I do not like that the sword can be both slow and fast, because it's really misleading. I don't like the second form of Cos, because it's just stupid. You can get the dumbest AI and kill it in a second, or you can get the most punishing, brutal, on top of you raping your mouth hole to death, and there's nothing you can really do. And then Lawrence is not so bad in the second phase because he's really predictable. It just means that you're very limited as to what you can do, and the best case scenario is to hug his side and kind of keep on top of him that way. And I really don't like a boss where you have to do a very specific thing to just, you know, fight it. I like a boss where you can free flow, and Lawrence doesn't let you do that. But these are the Shadows of Yharnam as a standard enemy. Anybody who's played a Souls game in the past will be appreciative of enemies that were once bosses turning up as normal enemies. I have no idea if it's intended, or if it's just a case of they were running out of budget to build new dudes, so they just thought, you know, we'll throw in some boss guys. And I don't mind it, because I really like the Yharnam guys as an enemy. The only thing I don't like about the boss is when they get the ability to summon those giant snakes, because it's one of those moves that I don't really understand it well enough, and I don't see it enough if I'm doing that fight correctly to understand it. But there is a giant pig. The pigs have been upgraded, so do not think you can just shit on the pigs very easily, although, you know, you can. Still, you need to be aware they can do serious damage, they've got a lot of life, and there's 2 of them in the next area. And these particular pigs are the intelligent pigs, because they have all the eyes, which gives them insight, and it means that they have a passive ability to frenzy you when they do the breath attack. So previously, the pigs would poison you if they hit you with that. Now they frenzy you. And isn't it funny? This is now what? Bloodborne's been out about a year at this point, and they still haven't tweaked the frenzy. And I could have put money down that they would, and they didn't. So I was so wrong about how I thought they would change it, because to me, it's broken. It's ridiculous and it needs fixing. But to the devs, it's exactly as intended and they're happy, which is cool. But I find it bizarre as we take on the flame-totting Shadow, who has a Tonitrus. Good old Tony Truss. And then up here is a huge mob of those dudes and 2 of the pigs. So if you're savvy, you can get them to fight each other, which I haven't seen for a very long time, enemies fighting each other, and I love it. To me, it's one of the coolest things you can put in your game, because it reminds me of Turok 2, or Turok 1 in fact. I think the dinosaurs and the soldiers fought each other on that game. But just those old school games where that shit happens, I'm such a fanboy for that kind of stuff. But I don't want anything to do with that, because I'm a little low on life. There's the Queen. If you go in the Chalice Dungeons deep enough, you can fight her. She's a fun boss. She's way better than those bosses I just listed. Yeah, you have to do the most work to fight her, so there'll be some people that never get that far, and that's a big shame. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again here. I think Rom should be the final boss of the Chalice Dungeons, and I think she should be in Rom's arena. Because she's a great fight, and Rom makes me want to pull my teeth out. This elevator's a nightmare too. You can get killed. I've been killed by that elevator more times than any boss in this game. Just because your dog, just because. But here are the Winter Lanterns, and if you do not have Ludwig's huge sword to stunlock them, the best way to kill them is to do what I do here. Let the frenzy build up, parry the grab attempt, and then kill them with the visceral attack. The problem here, as you just witnessed, is I don't do enough damage to kill them with the visceral attack, which is very confusing. I don't know why I didn't kill her. Maybe I've changed something? Maybe my weapon's damaged? I don't know. That was very strange. And it's scary because there's 2 of them now, and you'll notice one of them killed me. So, timing this is not the easiest thing in the world. The good news is, once you do it a few times, you'll have a much greater understanding of it. Yeah, I can't kill these ladies with my viscerals. That's really sad. But the good news is we're getting gems, and before, on the very first patch of the game, outside of the Chalice Dungeons, this creatures gave you the best gems you could find. There is nothing in the game that is as strong as the cursed gems that these creatures give you. Outside of Chalices, of course. The problem is, they drop everything else too, fucking bullets, pebbles, all kinds of bullshit, and a lot of the gems are going to give you minus HP, because it's a completely random generator of what stats they give you. Additionally, if you get the ones that are good, they will damage your weapon over time, so they'll make it so that your durability is a lot less, which can lead to some frustrations on longer boss fights or longer zones, but they are by far the best campaign gems you can find, and I think now the ones that you get inside the DLC will probably be better, but they are still really worth having. Unless you go into the Chalice Dungeons, and if you've got, you know, PlayStation Plus, you should do, because getting gems in there is absolutely easy, and those gems are so incredibly powerful, it's not even funny. Like, it's really bizarre just how strong those gems are. So, as you saw just then, the scripting of this creature can often affect how easy this is to do what I'm doing here, and we just have enough sedatives to make this work, so that's cool. What I'm showing, if you're curious, is I'm showing you the path to the Blood Rock, because it's a really, really important resource, and at this moment in time, there is 2 in the game, and then you can get a few from the Chalice Dungeons. But in their infinite wisdom, From decided to patch the ability to farm Chalice Dungeons that have Blood Rocks. I have no idea why. It doesn't seem like them at all. Especially when you consider the way they designed the online has effectively killed the online. They have murdered any chance you had of getting consistent PvP in this game. So the entire online component, where perhaps the balance of how many weapons that are, you know, maximized would affect anything, is not an argument, because it doesn't exist, because nobody plays this game online. And then additionally on top of that, in the previous games they've made, you could farm the highest resource. So what changed, you know? It doesn't make sense to me. It's almost counterintuitive to their design philosophy. I farmed enough Dark Wraiths in my time to know that farming Titanite slabs was very luck-based, but it could be done. I've probably farmed over 100 of them in my time with Dark Souls 1. In this game, you can't do that. You have to do the New Game Plus cycles, and that's always been a thing, because the New Game Plus cycles were usually quicker than the farming if you were good at the game. But that's still not the point that I would argue. The point is there should be a way to get more of them. And there is now, thanks to the Insight Shop, but I'm talking about before they added that as a feature. And I still think that Insight Shop is a fucking rip-off, and I don't know what they were thinking. Like, I've run around on this game with about 20 million blood echoes at one point when I was super farming the Chalice dungeons and killing the bosses to get the gems. And you've never got ult to spend your money on, and all that ends up happening is you forget your bloodstain somewhere, you die by something bullshitty and stupid, and you lose it all. Why not give us a facility to spend those echoes? You know, that Insight Shop should sell the best gems in the game, and they should be ludicrously expensive. But this is Mergo's Wet Nurse. Mergo, I think it's Mergo. And this is a boss that I think is really cool. If I had one gripe with it, it would be the range it has on certain attacks, because it can hit you with some pretty preposterous hitboxes, and you're going to see it in this. I don't know how questionable it is, it's probably fair. It hit me then, so that was, you know, you could argue that I should have not have taken damage, you could argue I should have taken damage, so that's not a bad one. That one was completely fair. You should never stand in front of her when she does this move. But the strategy is simple, guys. Wait for her to attack, dodge through the attack, and then get behind her. And if you can kill her like I did then, she will never do that crazy summoning all the shadow clones and attacking you off screen and stuff, which she didn't used to do back on the original version of the game, because this boss used to glitch out and it never summoned those duplicates. Which, if you want to see a really confused fight, watch my blind playthrough when I kill that boss, because it didn't make any sense, and it turned out I had the AI bug that a lot of people were getting when you played this game for longer than like 3 hours. And it was a shame, but it made for some pretty entertaining stuff. So now that we've killed her, we've got another one of the umbilical cords. We're going to need 3 of those cords to unlock the secret super final boss, and then we're going to kill the secret super final boss. So thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.